Hello and welcome to your bonus video of walking through the Learn Google Ads with Me activity book. I'm Amy Hebden and I'm super excited to have you here. Now I know that you can read and so you don't need me to read through what each of these pages are, but there are a few things I think that would be helpful if we just kind of went over so you had a better idea of how to complete them. Now from this page, I think you do have to have a Google account to be able to access it. You can make a copy of it and you can just work directly within the book. Now, starting off with lesson 1, we're just looking at should my business use Google Ads? So if you aren't sure yet, or you are pretty confident, but you want to kind of walk through how to assemble the different ideas we talked about. Remember, Google lets you put your best offer in front of your ideal audience when they're most ready to take action. So we're going to look at each of those pieces. Your best offer is the thing that you really want to be promoting, and it should ideally be more high ticket so you can justify the cost of clicks and the fact that not everyone's going to buy from you. Your ideal audience is going to be the people that are most interested in your offer. Avoid just saying anyone who will buy from me. Like, try to really think through this and say, what do these people have in common, so that you can create ads around that really speak to your ideal audience and don't just like feature list what your offer is. When people are most ready to take action, that's really ideally, we're going to be focusing on search marketing because that is going to get you the most bang for your buck, but that's not always the case. And if you have something that's more unique and original and you want to just be marketing on the display network and kind of introducing people to the idea rather than when they're looking for something, that's okay too. Just kind of keep in mind that your results will be a little bit different than if you were specifically targeting people who are in search mode. By the end of all this, you should hopefully have an idea of whether you want to be running Google Ads for your business, whether the answer is just a flat no, or if it's something that you might want to learn about now because maybe in the future this is something that you will do, and so you want to put in the time in to like understand the principles. That's also totally fine. Now in lesson 2, depending on when you access the workbook, you may or may not have little links to all of the video lessons. We're kind of launching everything at the same time. If they're not here yet when you're going through, just go back to make a copy later. You can always access this again and they should show up. Now this is where this is kind of prep work for some things you'll be doing later. So you're going to do a search for a product or a service that you're interested in. Just go to Google and do that. And then I want you to start paying attention really to that sequence of what you looked for, what the ad said, and then what happened on the landing page, and what like reinforced your decision that this is the right path, and what made you question whether something on the landing page didn't quite fit or something in the ad didn't quite fit. So I want you to like really notice those things. What I'm going to do is I'm going to walk you through how to click on an ad choices ad. And so ad choices is what Google uses to run their ads. And what you'll find is that ad choices will always have this little triangle here. Just because something says ad choices doesn't mean it's from Google, but Google won't be running these types of display ads without it saying ad choices. So once you click on ad choices, you can see who's running it. Now this is a case where it's not from Google. So we'll just go ahead and scroll down because I want to show you one where it is. So let's try this one. Okay, so yeah, we see ads by Google here. And so if we click on why this ad, it will tell us why we got targeted. So it says this ad is based on information in your Google account or your similarity to groups of people the advertiser is trying to reach according to your activity while you were signed into Google. So basically, anytime you click this, you could get a variety of different reasons that you saw it, from the time of day to your interests to demographics. Like there's a lot of different reasons that you might see an ad, and understanding how Google is serving you ads or categorizing you or doing that targeting can help you think through how you could take advantage of this type of targeting and use it in your own account. So I do want you to be familiar with it because I know sometimes it just seems like a black box and we don't know how it works, but you actually can find out how it works and why you are targeted. So that's a good thing to know how to do. So that basically completes lesson 2. Lesson 3 has some definitions for you. Google Ads has a lot of acronyms, and so this just kind of gets you in front of some of those. We're doing some estimates here. So we're estimating revenue from a new customer based on basically the pricing of your products, and then if you can estimate the LTV or the lifetime value. A lot of times people are really uncomfortable with making these kinds of estimates because their sales numbers are low or everything's so unique or custom. And that's fine. Like, we're really not plugging any numbers in here. We're just trying to give you a sense of, we tend to make this much. And the reason is because without really a sense of where you end up at, people will either go extreme one way or the other. So either, they're willing to pay as much as their revenue for, like, let's say you sold something that cost $200. Well, I can, if I pay $200 for ad clicks, then I'll break even, when they're not factoring in, the shipping costs or labor costs or, the overhead, how much so you're getting paid for your time as well. So we obviously don't want to be in that position where you're actually losing money. But on the other hand, if you would potentially make $10,000 from a sale and you're not willing to spend more than $20 just arbitrarily, then you're really going to be leaving some money on the table in terms of sales you didn't get because you're being a little bit more frugal than was necessary to really come into what's going to drive revenue for you. So that's really the goal here, is just to be thinking through both of those. And then we're also going to have you think through some high value keywords. If you're not comfortable doing this yet, lesson 5 gets into it a little bit more of what are the keywords that are closest to the money, that are most likely to drive a sale or lead for you, to make sure that you're properly prioritizing them and bidding on them. Now, we also have some considerations for monthly spend, and most of this is what we reviewed in the lesson. So it's just a few reminders of how that's all going to work together. I guess just one quick reminder on that: you don't have to project what your spend is going to be. You can always respond to demand. So if there's a lot more demand than you thought there was going to be, just spend more in real time, and that's not a problem. Or you can spend less. You're not locked into anything. You don't have to plan ahead for that. For conversions and optimization, we have some more definitions for you. So be sure that you're comfortable with what those mean. The quality score links to Google's definition of quality score. And here what we're doing is we're really kind of applying the lessons from 1 and 2, those activities, to specifically how to optimize and improve conversion rates on your page. So the most important action is going to be pretty similar to your best offer. Like, hopefully those really correlate. The most important action is someone's going to purchase your offer from you or sign up for that. But then I want you to think through, how can you improve the chances of conversion, right? You're not taking someone to a contact page. You're not taking someone to a page that's just leaving them out in the cold. You're really doing things to try to motivate them to say yes to your offer. And then the next question, how to improve the chances your ad will result in qualified clicks. If you're not running any ads yet, and so you don't have qualified or non-qualified clicks, you might not feel comfortable answering that question. So of course you can just skip it. But if you are running ads, or you want to just think through that, like think through who would be an ideal audience that you could do some deeper targeting for, to try to make sure that you are reaching the right audience when you're running these ads, and so that your costs are as efficient as possible. Now, when it comes to account setup and management, some of you are going to have to make a decision, and for some of you, there's no decision to be made because you're already working with an agency, or someone else is already managing this for you, or it's part of your job. And then in other cases, like, you're not at a point where you would even consider hiring someone. So maybe it's a decision, maybe it's not. But we do have these questions for you to consider on if you are making a decision, which sometimes is really needed, right? I don't want to spend all my time doing it, but I also don't know if I want to hire someone. So you could kind of think through some of these questions. And then we do have a bonus resource. I'm kind of skipping on this page, but I do have a bonus resource for how you can vet an agency or contractor. So a lot of times people aren't comfortable hiring, or they've made a bad hiring decision in the past and they're just not sure what to do. So we walk you through some questions that basically help you know where to start, so that you don't end up in the situation where once you part ways with your agency, then they keep your account because you didn't know the right question to ask to make sure that's not what would happen. You can just click on this link, it'll take you right there, and you can walk through that as well. Now, the other thing to mention is account setup. Now, we're really not digging too deep into the technical hierarchy of how the accounts all work together, but I do want you to understand how campaigns and ad groups work at a really basic level, so that either when you're setting this up or when you're looking at your accounts, you can have that conversation with whoever's managing it to say, oh, are my campaigns, like, are they divided by intent? Like, what's the purpose of this campaign? How come it's grouped this way? And so you can better understand what's happening. So remember, campaigns is where the budget lives for the campaign. So that's set at a campaign level. And then campaigns contain your ad groups, and ad groups contain your keywords, ads, and landing pages. And so all of those are grouped together in an ad group, and then you can have several ad groups in a campaign. So that's that basic structure. So hopefully that's comfortable, just being at least a little bit familiar with that. And then obviously you can go way deeper into that if you need to. Okay, that takes us through the last lesson. I hope this was useful for you. I hope that you have a good time doing Google Ads. I think it's so fascinating and so fun, and I hope that you're able to also. I hope that this is helping you to kind of see how flexible it is and what you can do to like reach the right audience and grow your business. Thank you so much for joining me, and I wish you all the success in the world.